I don't usually do tutorials, since I'm pretty much not qualified to teach much of anything, but after brushing over the basics, I can put together a small tutorial of how to render metal. So let's start at the beginning. You'll want to outline your silhouette of the object you are trying to make. This can be done via just using the lasso tool and filling in the shapes or even coloring in over the sketch. Granted, if you want line art involved in your piece, you can also do that and color the line art itself later. Once you have your line art or silhouette, step 2 takes place, and that is establishing where your shadows will be. Or, if you do things the other way around, like paint with light, add your highlights. Since my method involves shadows first, I'll explain from that point of view. Though take into account when adding your light, it will always be the opposite procedure to adding shadow. So what I did was take the lasso tool and shade lightly with an airbrush over the areas that are in shadow. Keep in mind that with the lasso tool, you have to carve out the shape inside your silhouette and then shade lightly for a nice gradient. This adds depth to the painting. Adding your highlighted areas come next, or if you're painting the other way around, your shadows. Depending on the shape of the object, you'll have highlights opposite to your shadows, and then you use the lasso tool once again to carve out your shape and make a light gradient. Something I forgot to add was the layers. You'll want your shadow on one layer set to multiply, and your highlights on a second layer set to screen. Next, you'll want to add some details. This can be done with any brush of your choice, and depending on the look you want to go for, brush them in on the same layers. Highlights on the screen layer and shadows on the multiply layer. If you want to erase and stay clean, make another layer on top. What you need to know about details is that your brush should be small enough for more fine work, like rim lights and adding edges sharply to define your object's shape. And you should also keep in mind that metal is shiny. Your sharp highlights will be much more reflective of the environment. If you are drawing metal on a canvas with an existing background, your background will reflect the colors on the metal surface. You can add the color on the rim surface sharply and on the rest lightly with an airbrush. Lower opacity if it's too bright or saturated. More about details is to keep in mind that metal is imperfect. You'll want to add cracks, nicks, and chips to show more variety. Texture should also be added. Though metal is shiny, even polished metal will have some form of texture to it, although very light. You'll want to make a new layer and clip it to your base color layer. Next, you'll take a brush with texture and color of your choice and add it lightly to the drawing. Another method is to insert a picture of a texture you like and photo bash it to your object. Then lower the opacity, all still on a clipped layer set to multiply. Finally, add some extra rendering on top of everything. With shadows, set your layers to alpha lock and lightly brush over with a darker color in the areas with the least amount of light. Then with another color that's lighter, gently pat the edges to show some contrast. Again, on an existing background, this is easier. Just use the colors around the object. Add some extra shine to the highlights with an add layer, and lightly brush in over the existing highlights. You'll see this adds a glowy effect to make it even more shiny. Don't go overboard, though, and decrease opacity if it's too bright. And that is it! Now, practice with different environments and lighting directions, and you'll get the hang of it in no time. Remember that I have commissions open, with a limited time on fan art commissions at $20. Please check out my VGen in the description for more information. Have a nice day, and see you in the next one. Chocobirb out.